Hey guys, welcome to Crafting Spree. I'm Rachel, and today we're going to be learning how to make this Mother's Day card with pop-up flowers. Now, beginners, don't be scared off yet. This looks like an advanced project, but it's not. That's why I love it. So stick around and I'll let you know what supplies you need and we'll go through the steps and make it together. For this project, you're going to need a standard grip mat, your white cardstock, your colored cardstock if you want to add that colored insert for a pop of color, a weeding tool to help you pop out the flower petals at the end, and you're gonna want some form of tape or glue if you are gonna be putting in that colored insert. Also, you might have noticed I'm not using a Cricut brand grip mat. I've never really been one to use brand names for the sake of brand names, and I love testing out off-brand products to see if I can get the same results or even better results at a lower price, and these are definitely one of my favorite off-brand buys, and they were also right around half the cost. So if you're open to trying off-brands to save a bit of money in the long run, the link to these is in the description. There's also a link to the off-brand blades that I use. Again, you can see at the end of this project that these blades do an equally beautiful job. When I first tested them out, I tested them back to back against the Cricut blades, and I couldn't tell any difference in quality. But I was able to get 30 of these blades for less than the cost of just 2 Cricut replacement blades. So I was pretty pumped to have found them and to discover that they work just as well for so much less money. You'll also need a blade in the proper housing. Now, the fine point blade should work, but I have had issues with the fine point blade not doing a great job on cardstock before. So I've since just permanently switched to the deep cut blade, and I haven't had any issues with it since. So now we just need to download our SVG. The link to it is in the description below, or you can head to our Etsy shop by going to etsy.com and typing Crafting Spree in the search bar, and then clicking on Find Shop Names containing Crafting Spree. Once you're there, you'll just either add it to your cart and go ahead and check out, or if you're interested in getting 20% off of not only this design, but every other item that we have in our Etsy shop, go ahead and head to craftingspree.com and scroll down to where it talks about the Crafting Spree Club. And you can see that just by subscribing to our newsletter automatically makes you part of the Crafting Spree Club. That comes with some freebies and perks and coupons. So if you're interested in getting some free SVGs and saving some money, go ahead and head to craftingspree.com and subscribe. You'll be sent an email with the 20% off coupon, and you can just head back to etsy.com and enter that code during checkout. And once you've paid, you'll immediately have access to the files. You'll be able to download them to your computer, and we will move on to the next step. So now we just need to import our SVG into Cricut Design Space. So we'll start by clicking New Project and going down here to the Upload button. Also, I do want to note that my screen may look a little different than yours, and that's okay. I shut off grid lines, and if that's something that you want to do, you can go up here to this hamburger menu and select it, and then go down to Settings and click on No Grid. It usually defaults to full grid, but I like it better without a grid. You can also do partial grid, but I like no grid. Once you have the setting that you like, you'll just click Done, and you're good. So again, to upload the SVG, next we will hit Upload, Upload Image, and Browse. Now, if you didn't save it to a specific location, it's probably in your Downloads folder. And you can see that now, once we go there, here are the 3 things that came with our purchase. So there's the SVG, the PNG, and the written project tutorial. So you're watching the video tutorial, and if you learn better by written instructions, you can click on this document. It'll open a Word doc with a link to the written tutorial for how to make this card. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and head there. If not, continue following along. We will go ahead and click on the SVG and then hit Open. It gives you a little preview of what it should look like. It should look like this, and we will hit Upload and then select it and hit Insert Image down here in the bottom right. So once it's in here, you'll just click it and we're gonna wanna hit attach. If we don't hit attach, I'll show you what happens. If we miss that step and just go to make it, it's gonna separate our work. So you can see here's the border of the card, but all the details are on another page and in the wrong spot. So we'll hit cancel, and by either selecting it all by like dragging and highlighting, or you can just click on it and just see, you can see they're both highlighted here, so we know we have them both selected. And when you hit attach, now you can see it changes the way that it looks. And basically what this has done is it's saying this is all one project. Like I want all of this together exactly how I see it on this side of Design Space. I want it to look the same on this side of Design Space. So you can see now it's showing a preview of what it's gonna look like once it's cut out and on the mat, and it looks perfectly correct. So once we see that that's looking good and they're not separated out, we'll just hit continue. And then I don't have my machine on right now, but once you do, you will see it right here and you'll be able to connect to it. Let me go turn mine on. This is why I had turn on your machine be a step in the written tutorial, because as silly as it sounds, sometimes you can think that it's on because you're in the middle of a project, and when you go to actually make it and it's saying there's like an error connecting to your machine, you can be like, how? It's right next to me, but that's why it's not on. So now we just want to double check our settings. So you'll want to make sure that your base material is set to cardstock. This is a setting I have it on. I believe that 80 pounds is just like the regular cardstock, so it's not like a super thin cardstock, and it's not like the super thick glitter cardstock. So just put it on this setting. And then again, these are the settings that I have. Even though I am using the deep point blade or the deep cut blade, I didn't change any of these and it turned out perfectly. So again, if you want to experiment with changing this to the deep cut blade, you would do so by hitting edit tools and you would change it to the deep point blade. I didn't feel the need to do that. It made no difference in how it cut out when I just had the deep point blade in the machine and fine point selected here. And once that's all set up, we will go ahead and load our machine. Now we're ready to go ahead and load up our mat. So you're gonna want to put your cardstock paper down oriented landscape. You don't want it portrait, or else it'll definitely have parts of the card get cut off. Now we're ready to go ahead and load up the mat into a Cricut. So just as usual, line it up with these little edge pieces. Hit the load button. And we are ready to go. As soon as this is flashing, you can press it, and we will just sit back now and watch the Cricut do all the hard parts for us. Alrighty, so now the card is all cut out, looking good. I always start by peeling off the outside of the card. The next thing I do, I start at this end so I can be like a little more aggressive with it. And then you just want to kind of carefully peel it up. Start by poking out the little insides. So once you do that, there's some, like I can tell this one's definitely not all the way poked out, but at least by poking them through the other side, you can flip your card over and you can just kind of like brush them off. And I've noticed this does a pretty good job getting most of them off, but occasionally little ones will be left behind, but I think that did the trick this time. So once those are off, then I'll go ahead and fold the card. Again, if you spend all this time popping out the petals and then you go to fold it, you're just gonna press most of them back in place. I learned that one the hard way. I was pretty upset. I spent all this time poking out petals, and then I went to fold it and I turned it back over, and all of these ones were still out, but any that were closer to the seam were all flattened again, and I was like, oh, dang, I should have thought of that. So learn from my mistakes, line up the corners first, and then I just go like down from a corner, down from the other corner, down from the middle, and just kind of do like little presses until it's pretty much folded. Then you can do like one full, and then this is another way that the scraper comes in really handy, because I love a crisp fold, right? I like it to look really sharp and clean, and so I use the scraper to just like really press it down, and it does a really good job crimping it really hard. I do this on the back though because occasionally you'll get some little, like you can see the little sticky bits that are left on the grip mat from scraping, or that's left on the scraper from scraping off your grip mat. And so occasionally it might leave like a little like smudge or something, and I just think that if it's gonna leave anything at all, I'd rather it be kind of subtle on the back than at all noticeable on the front. So once that's done and looking good, we can go ahead and start poking out the petals. So I just open it up and just kind of pick wherever I want to go and just go. When you do this, if you have this tool, this is my favorite one to use because it does have that curve, so it means you can poke it through and then kind of angle it. So that way it's the petals poking like almost straight up at the end, because I noticed it's a lot easier to go through and see some petals that are up too high and kind of flatten them down a little than to see ones that are just like barely poking up and try to like flip them up or use your weeding tool. It's just a lot faster once they're all up to just kind of use your finger and press down petals versus having to like go in and fix every single one. So if you do that, it just might make your life a little easier once you're done. So just poke and then turn a little. For those of you who love weeding, I feel like you're gonna love poking out flower petals because it's oddly satisfying. I'm not a huge fan of weeding, but I do really like this part. I think partially because you get a little preview of what it's gonna look like that. You know that once you flip it over, it's gonna look really cool. So there we go. Now all the petals are popped out and you can see that it is awesome. Now I do think that I am gonna add that colored insert to the inside. It looks really amazing all in white, but I think for Mother's Day, I do like that pop of color. And I think this blue behind it would look really nice too. I think it would just make the flowers pop. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so does Cheeto. Yeah, isn't it pretty? Is it so pretty? Yeah. This is Cheeto. This is who you heard. Okay, now we're gonna create that colored insert to go inside our card. So you're gonna wanna open up Cricut Design Space and create a new project. And you're just gonna go over here to Shapes and we'll insert the square. And then if you click on this little lock icon, it will unlock it, which unlocks the ratios. So that allows us to make it a square or a rectangle and move the whole thing around. If you lock it again, it locks those ratios. So now no matter what you do, it stays in those proportions. So we're gonna go ahead and unlock it. And since our card, after being folded, is a 5" by 7" card, I'm gonna make the insert a little smaller than that so that we have a little bit of wiggle room for if it's not perfectly centered. And it has that little white border, I like how that looks, and it kind of puts the pressure off of having to align it perfectly to the edges of the card. So for the width, go ahead and enter 4.5. And for the height, we'll go ahead and do 6.5. And we can just hit make it and we'll be good to go. Now we have our colored insert cut out, so I will go ahead and peel this one up. And we just need to paste it inside our card. So we'll try and center it, but what I like is since it does have this white border, you're not gonna be under a lot of pressure to get it like perfectly lined up with the edges the way that you would if it was exactly this size. And you know, it can be a little off-centered and it's not going to be very noticeable. So again, what I would suggest is using double-sided tape. I typically would just use 5 little pieces and put 1 in each corner and then 1 in the center. And what I like about that is it's not like a glue stick where you're getting glue on your hands while you're trying to place it. And it's also not, you know, packing tape that's gonna, even though you can make it like double-sided loops like I'm gonna do, it's still gonna have this raised up a little bit. I do love the flush, flat look that you get residue free with double-sided tape. So that's what I would suggest. But here I am with my packing tape. And I don't think I'm gonna put one in the middle with this because it's gonna be lumpy probably no matter what I do. So I'm just gonna put one little piece in each of the corners. Okay, center it up, roughly-ish. And we say, good enough. Flatten it out. And then we'll do our one last fold. Oh, I love how it looks.
Okay, so here's our final design. I hope you guys love how yours turned out too. I'm definitely happy with how mine came out, and I think that my mom's just gonna love it for Mother's Day. If you like this tutorial and you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you can also check out my blog at craftingspree.com. I have more tutorials there, as well as some of my favorite tips and tricks. There's free SVGs, Amazon deals on Cricut supplies, and a lot more fun stuff like that. I'd also love for anyone interested to join my Facebook group called Any and All Things Cricut. It's a group I created for people to be able to post pretty much anything Cricut related. We're a group of a few thousand strong, and we're growing every day. So if you want to join a place where you can show off your latest projects, ask some questions, get help or advice, and even share your Cricut related social accounts like your Instagram to get more followers and connect with other crafters online, this group is a great place to do all of that. That's all I have for you today. Again, I hope that you had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun creating this with you, and as always, happy crafting.